So for our next guest on our end of season debrief, we've got Charlie, who's been doing a lot of filming and a lot of flying that he's been putting on the GA Europe Facebook group, and yeah, it's been inspirational to see your journey, Charlie. You've had a pretty good year and some fantastic flights on that channel. Can you tell us a bit about some of the journeys you've been on?
So my one and only journey across Europe and back, which resulted in me put in quarantine in Norway for a week. It was my first international solo. So even though I've been a PPL holder for 10 years, I've only ever done one European flight, and I had an instructor with me for that whole flight, and that was to Lisbon and back. So this time was my first solo flight. 3 legs, Dunkerswell to Holland, Holland to Denmark, and Denmark to Norway via Sweden. And I was really very nervous, and I did plan it carefully. I planned my route carefully. I used SkyDemon for planning. The weather was amazing. I was very, very lucky with the weather. But I was so nervous, and I was nervous of the unknowns. And so it was a baptism of fire. And anyone who's seen that video of the first leg of that flight will know that Belgian airspace said, "Nope, you're not coming in here." Yeah. And I said,
it was pretty impressive the way you handled
that. I didn't know what to do. My initial reaction was, I'm going to have to land, or just turn around and go home. But I didn't have enough fuel to get back all the way back home. But I'd go back to England and land. But I remember asking, it's in the video, I said to him, "What are my options?" And he said, "Well, you can get down below 1,500 feet and stay outside the Class D airspace," which is what I ended up doing. So, it was. But I then didn't know whether I'd have the same problem when I got to Holland and Germany, and I still don't know, actually, because they let me in as if there was no problem. But I think technically Mode S should have been required. But Dutch Mill Info were very friendly. They said, "Oh, as long as you got mode Charlie, we're okay." So again, as a GA pilot, it was difficult to know, was I breaking the rules and they were just allowing me through anyway because they were being nice, or were the rules different from one country to the next? I didn't know. But I had different ATC in different countries. I mean, I think they all sort of play by the same rules, but nevertheless, there's a different feel, there's a different vibe, a different culture. And of all of them, Denmark was by far the friendliest and most helpful. I mean, Dutch Mill Info were great as well. Busy, but very friendly and helpful. Sweden and Norway were fine, pretty formal, but absolutely fine. But Belgium were not helpful, not friendly.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you had some challenges when you arrived in Norway as well, which wasn't so easy, and it was all a bit difficult. And so, what were, in terms of, in the context of our idea of this season debrief, what's the biggest kind of lesson that you've learned, or what are the key lessons you think you've learned this summer? And I sense you from the videos I've seen that you've learned so much. Every flight's a whole learning experience. But in terms of nuggets to pass to other pilots, what would be the big things that you think that you've learned this year?
Honestly, the biggest nugget, the biggest single thing I would say, is that you can sit and read books all you like about what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and you'll end up reading a mountain of stuff that won't be relevant to what you're doing anyway. The best way to learn is to stop procrastinating it like I have been for years, and do the research you think you need to do, and then get in the plane and go. Worst case scenario, you'll have to land somewhere, but or you'll be turned back like I was, and you'll be put through your paces, and you'll experience challenges, and you'll learn things, and you'll find out that what you were worried about, you shouldn't have been worried about, and that there were things you didn't know that you should have worried about. I mean, I asked pilot friends of mine who do fly across Europe regularly for their tips and their advice, and I listened to them, but I still made mistakes because they just sort of assumed I'd know things. But again, until you've done it yourself, you don't know what you're supposed to know. So obviously do the basics, do the basic research, try and find out the rules, differences. My only mistake as such was being unaware of the equipment minima in my plane required. I thought a transponder mandatory zone was, I've got a transponder, so it's fine. It doesn't say Mode S transponder mandatory zone.
and it's amazing how small, simple things like that are, are things actually we start to realise as we build our safety promotion material. Actually, these are the things that we can really, help give these nuggets of information to people and really help prepare that, if that makes sense, and really, really put that knowledge down as the kind of clear things that, certainly I've learned a lot from your videos where, when I think for our own safety promotion material, that actually, hey, this is something we should be writing down and giving to other pilots. So, yeah, it's really great, and it's great lessons and really great to get.
Well, that's
your
amazing,
thoughts, Charlie.
I'm just so happy that the videos are of value to other people, because that's the whole point. So I'm really happy about that.
And maybe just to finish, you want to give a shout out to your YouTube channel, so that we encourage other people who haven't maybe seen your
please
videos
do.
to watch
It's
those
Charlie
as well.
Lamdin. It's my personal vlog. It's vlogging my mission to one day take my family around the world in a seaplane. I've got a seaplane rating. I've just put up the most recent videos of my first ever seaplane flight in Norway. I've got a share in a 180 on floats there, and it was just the most epically beautiful flight, especially where we landed. Ran into serious density altitude problems, which will be revealed in the next video. But Charlie Lamdin on YouTube. There are other videos on there as well, family videos, but it's mostly aviation at this point.
You have to say, I really like the Norway one with the seaplane. I like, in fact, I think I put a comment on that. Yeah, we've seen some accidents where people hadn't done what you were doing on the wing with the stick out to make sure there was the fuel level manually. So it was quite a timely lesson. That fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us, Charlie, and I'll speak to you soon and look forward to.
Thanks, John. Thank you very much for having me.